What is up, Flash fans? I'm Tyron ZD Comics. Welcome to my review of Season 1, Episode 3, Things You Can't Outrun of The Flash. So I'm going to start out with my non-spoiler review, and then of course I'll get into spoilers later, but I'll give you a warning. So there's 4 reasons why this episode deserves a 9 out of 10, and yes, I did say 9 out of 10. Okay, seriously, this episode was amazing. But the first point is it's really, really comic book-like. Now there's 2 scenes on why I give it like a really good high comic book rating score. Now the first one would be the particle accelerator jail. So we do know that they're going to hide pretty much all their villains. For instance, the first one being the Mist, and then other ones like Captain Cold and Heatwave, characters who have powers and can't really go into a normal jail. They'll be putting in the power accelerator, which is going to be a jail that only they will know, only Flash and Harrison and Cisco and everything. So that's pretty awesome to have a super powered jail, and that's very comic book like. Now the second scene would be the very first one we saw, which of course would be with Barry and then Iris, and they were, at a movie date, and all of a sudden Barry had a call, there's a mass murder, not mass murder, I think it was a car chase, and basically he goes inside the car and drops off the murder in the back of a cop car, and that's something I can see that's literally ripped out of a comic book itself. I mean, and then he comes back to Iris and she didn't even notice a thing. So that's very comic book like, and that's definitely one of the reasons why it deserves 9 out of 10. Another one would be Harrison Wells. I have never been so interested in a character on CW. I mean, this show is really outdoing itself. Its ratings are doing fantastic, and I think that the future of DC comic book, TV shows is very bright right now. I think they're going to go far ahead with it. Like I was saying with Harrison Wells, I've never been so interested in this character. Now, we do know that Harrison Wells is obviously someone from the future. He's on the side of the Flash, and we do find out one more thing in this episode, but I don't want to spoil that for you. But I'm just going to say that he's a really interesting character, and there's definitely a future with him, and I'm excited for that. And that's part of the reason why it deserves a 9 out of 10. Plus, the flashback he had was awesome. And now the next one will be the villains and the side effects and everything. Now, literally, the villain was the Mist. Literally, his origin I will explain in my spoiler review, but he's a really cool character. I will like how they're really explaining how people are using their powers and how they have their powers, how they are affected, and it's not it makes sense. Like, the power accelerator changing the Flash, it just makes sense for other people to have it. So it's not like they're just giving us these random superpowered villains and having one explanation for it. It makes sense. That's another reason why it deserves a 9 out of 10. And of course, that would be the effects too. I mean, the Flash running, the Mist turning literally into mist, that green mist. Effects are really good, especially for a CW TV show. I mean, the Flash running is really believable, I should say. So I really like that. The last point would be the flashbacks. We got I think like 4 or 5 flashbacks with Cisco and Harrison Wells on their experience of when the particle accelerator went on, and then like 30 minutes after that when it exploded. So it was really awesome to see people's flashbacks. I don't think it's something we should expect, but we did see a few flashbacks. And of course, the last thing I wanted to mention, not really part of the episode too much, but of course that would be how they're going to save Flash's dad, Barry Allen's dad. They're going to try getting him out of jail. They're going to bring back the case and everything. So that was touched on too, and that was really good. So that's pretty much all for my non-spoiler review. That's pretty much everything I can give you without spoiling anything. If you didn't see the episode yet, go watch it and come back to this point of my review, because I'm going to get into the spoilers. First thing I want to talk about is Mist and his origin. So basically, during the time of the particle accelerator exploded, basically he was, I think, a murderer, or he was in a trial. Could have been a false trial, and he ended up having to go in a toxin chamber. So when it exploded, he got that mist inside of him. The Mist is played by Anthony Carrigan, and he is a really good actor. I liked him in this episode. He really did make the villain. He was bald, and it kind of gave him that he is supposed to be dead feel to it. So it was really good, and I like how Flash is not afraid at all to express some pretty crazy people. So that gives me high hopes for what Gorilla Grodd is going to look like. So besides that, one thing that I want to touch on would be the flashback. So let's talk about Cisco's flashback. We do know that Ronnie Raymond was actually the boyfriend, or I think it was fiance of Caitlin. And what we found out in Cisco's flashback is that Ronnie went in to, help the particle accelerator, try fixing it, and basically, sort of like what happened in The Watchmen, Cisco had to shut the door and really nothing could happen. You just had to sit there and die. So basically, Caitlin experienced all that, and her flashback was basically her side of that. So Cisco and Caitlin, and Ronnie, they were like a tight 3 people. So I'm excited to see when we do get Firestorm, like I was mentioning about the effects and everything. I feel like we're going to have a really sick Firestorm. And I like for Ronnie Raymond right now, he had a really interesting flashback. And it's the first time we saw that character, so it's going to be pretty awesome to actually get to see him in the TV show. So besides his flashback, I want to talk about the whole, trying to save Barry's dad and everything. We saw another flashback where basically, I think it was Barry's dad. Well, actually, it wasn't a flashback. It was a video, but basically it was a flashback. It was basically Barry's dad talking to Joe West, like, oh my God, come on, like, what are you doing? You know I didn't murder my wife and everything. And that was a really good scene, and I like that. So the last flashback would be Harrison Wells, and this one was during the particle accelerator. Of course, he knew literally everything that was going to happen. He expected it, and we saw a scene where basically the water and the air froze, and it literally was probably the Flash causing this accident to himself. Literally, the water froze and the Flash went in, and he's probably the one that caused the accelerator. Harrison Wells knew this was going to happen, and of course at the end we see him going to that secret room where he watches a video clip of Barry literally getting struck by the lightning, and he whispers to himself saying, holy crap, Barry, I will see you soon. That's what he said. It was really awesome. So Harrison Wells' flashback was by far the best. Of course, I really like what's going on with this, Harrison Wells storyline. It's really keeping me interesting. So this episode, there is a 9 out of 10. But what do you give it? I want you to review the episode Things You Cannot Outrun of The Flash in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like this video. It really helps out my channel. That simple like can be the difference from, 1 view and 100 views. So really, just don't forget to click this like button. And also, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'm Tyler from ZD Comics, and I want you to have a great day.
Ready, aim, fire.